I almost just don't want to go there. But I feel like what I'm about to show you is important. It's important because I continue to be proven correct, right? I told you that BreadTube was an operation to basically, it was a psyop aimed at deprogramming the alt-right and manipulating the socialist movement to serve imperialism. That's why I wrote a whole book, BreadTube Serves Imperialism. I talked about ContraPoints. I talked about H-Bomber Guy. I talked about Destiny. I talked about all kinds of people. After, the premise of that book, the reason that I wrote that book was because I was approached and told that Dr. Steve Hassan, who is this cult expert who's got ties to the intelligence community, is linked to, the Cult Awareness Network and forcible deprogrammings and kidnappings, that he was involved with it. So that's why I wrote that book. After I wrote that book, the Gray Zone came out and proved that Abigail Thorne, another prominent BreadTube, who I didn't talk about in the book, but Abigail Thorne, another prominent BreadTuber, that she was on the payroll of the British government, and that NGOs in Britain that are tied to destabilizing Syria, they're tied to the British royal family, are funding her work and paying her to try and discredit anyone who's critical of the lockdowns, right? And, they're basically doing exactly what I said, right? That it's a deprogramming operation. They're paying her to deprogram anyone who might be critical of lockdowns, right? Not a shocker. I was right about that. And then, after I told everybody BreadTube serves imperialism, they're agents of imperialism, and they all went defensive and said, how can you say that? That's crazy. You think everyone who doesn't agree with you must be CIA, blah, 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 blah. And then, of course, we had Gray Zone come out with their report documenting it. And so then we had more of that. So then now, fast forward, when the Ukraine war started, all of these BreadTubers, all of them, Destiny, ContraPoints, Vaush, Thought Slime, all of them became huge supporters of the Azov Battalion, the actual Nazi division of the Ukrainian military. They all became huge supporters of it, right? They just, and they made Ukrainian flags. They were fundraising for Ukraine. And I made a video and I said, do not donate to Ukraine, because this is going to turn out to be one of the, I think at our conference, Tara Reid pointed out that this war in Ukraine is going to be proven someday to be the biggest money laundering operation in history. They've shown evidence. CBS News was forced to take down a news story they did. They removed it from their website, but they showed that only like 30% of the weapons the American government is pouring into Ukraine actually end up in the hands of the Ukrainian military. Right. And that, so much money is pouring into Ukraine, and Ukraine's got a Patreon, and that this is going to be proven to be pretty soon. It's going to be proven to be a huge money laundering scam, because they're pouring all kinds of money into Ukraine, into a country that is notoriously corrupt, that was called corrupt by the New York Times. But all the BreadTube people are, give all your money to Ukraine, right? Sell your house, sell your car, and give it to Ukraine. They all need money. You give your money to Ukraine. All those poor Ukrainians, give them money, send your money to Ukraine. And they're all pouring all their money into Ukraine. Now, I told you they serve imperialism. I was right. And now the latest was that Vaush wanted to start World War III over China, over Taiwan, right? And he was promoting Nancy Pelosi's provocation. He was, promoting Taiwan separatism. So just to prove to you once again that I am right about these BreadTubers, just to make my point, I am about to show you something that if you have any doubt in your mind about who BreadTube works for, who Vaush works for, this is solid proof. This is solid proof. This is 100%. I mean, if this is not proof of who BreadTube works for and who they serve and what they're about, I mean, you're never going to be convinced. This is just classic, right? This is just classic. So you all will know that the Uhuru movement, the African People's Socialist Party, which has been around for 40 years, is led by Omali Yeshitala. They publish Burning Spear newspaper. They have the Uhuru Solidarity Movement for white people who support them, the African People's Socialist Party. We were honored at our conference to have them come. To our conference. We were honored to have them there. The FBI raided their offices, pointed guns in their faces, calling them Russian agents, all because of their anti-imperialist stance, because of that. So we made a point of supporting them and chanting no more raids at a time that they are facing terror at the hands of the FBI. So Vaush decided to chime in and tell his viewers about it. And this is what Vaush did. I'm only going to show you a little bit of this because I find him obnoxious. And most of what he says, he's insulting our faces. He's saying that we all, at one point, he's like saying that all of us in the group have faces that are shaped like tanks. And he's just, he's just childishly insulting our appearances and doing what he does best, which is just being an idiot on the internet. But this, what I'm about to show you, this is proof of who Vaush works for. I'm going to show this to you. Watch it at your own risk. Viewer discretion is advised.
Who's that? Who's that guy?
No more raids! No more raids!
We are proud to have guests from that organization here today to show that we are not afraid.
The mic is over there. Okay.
We offer nothing but unequivocal, full support and solidarity to them while they're under attack. Please stand up.
These are the Uhuru guys, I think. These are the insane cultists who got notoriety by calling Anne Frank a Karen.
False.
On Twitter.
False.
It's the caliber of political activism we're dealing with.
False. Woo!
Are these the guys whose leader was arrested for having dead bodies in his compound?
False.
Yep, that was like 2 weeks ago. Also just
False.
one dead body.
False.
To my knowledge.
He's just lying there. He is conflating one group of black revolutionaries with another group of black revolutionaries. I guess all black people look the same to Vaush, right? He sees all black people. He can't tell the difference. Black Hammer. It's an organization led by a guy named Ghazi that, they do a lot of provocative social media stuff, and they've said stuff about Anne Frank that's deeply offensive, stuff like that. Completely different organization. The Uhuru movement is a black socialist group that's been around for 40 years. It's led by Omali Yeshitali, African People's Socialist Party. The groups have nothing to do with each other. Ghazi was in the African People's Socialist Party at one time, but that was years ago, and he was kicked out of the group, and they had a falling out, and I don't even know what it was about. There was no one dead at Omali Yeshitali's house. There was no one in the African People's Socialist Party has ever said anything about Anne Frank. He's lying. He's intentionally lying to get you to support FBI raids against a group of black revolutionaries. Nobody in the African People's Socialist Party has been charged with any crime at this point. No one has been charged with anything. Ghazi and Black Hammer and the dead guy in the house, that's a totally different group. It's a totally different organization. Totally different goals, totally different outlook. One of them is a social media group that wants to raise money to buy land and likes to offend people on social media. One is a Marxist black revolutionary group with deep roots in the community. Totally different organization. He's just lying to you because he wants you to support the FBI pointing guns in the faces of black revolutionaries, dragging black revolutionaries out of their homes. I mean, this is, and it's, you want to talk about racism. All black people look the same to Vaush, right? I guess, if the FBI murdered Fred Hampton, he would say, oh, isn't he like that rapper I heard about who was involved in drugs or something like that? It's like, that's the level of what he's doing. One group of black people sounds like another group of black people. So that makes FBI terrorism and raids somehow okay. That is what Vaush is saying here. Now, what do you call somebody who runs interference like that, who engages in that level of lying and dishonesty in order to help the FBI? It looks to me pretty blatantly like Vaush got a phone call. Yeah, we just raided the homes of a group of black revolutionaries. But they support Russia, so they're no good. What can we do to make it okay? How can we make sure that none of the people that have been protesting racism for years think it's okay? I know. We'll say they're the same as this other group, We'll say they're the same as this other group of black people that has nothing to do with them, and that they're anti-Semitic, and that someone died or something like that. There's this other group of black people that have made a lot of social media drama. So we'll say that this group that has nothing to do with this other group is the same as that, and most white people are racist, and they think all black people are the same, and that'll work. Okay, very good, very good. All right, Vaush, your instructions are to say that the Uhuru movement that has not done anything, that none of them have even been charged with any crimes, your job is to pretend that they're the same as this other group, Black Hammer. Got it? Okay, very good. Click. I mean, it's that blatant. It's that blatant, right? You know, I mean, when Mumia Abu Jamal was on death row, you know, and they were going to execute Mumia, I can see Vaush on his stream saying, well, you know, Mumia is the same as some African dictator who committed genocide. I mean, they're both black, right? They're both black. They're both the same. So, I mean, this is, you know, and you can, you know, we all hate Vaush, right? We all love to hate Vaush, but hundreds of thousands of people watch this. I mean, this is disinformation. This is a government disinformation operation to try and get you to think that terrorizing a group of black activists because they support Russia, because their leader went to Russia one time to have a meeting with some Russians, that is okay. Who is Vaush working for? I was right. 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 And you can deny it all you want, but I mean, what kind of revolutionary sees a group of black activists get raided by the government and says, how can I make this okay? How can I convince people that this was somehow a good thing? This is a level of dishonesty. This is, you want to talk about cop behavior, you want to talk about, you know, asset and informant behavior. And you know, I mean, this is really, really blatant. He's trying to convince you that the government repressing a group of black socialists is okay. And in order to convince you to do it, he is intentionally lying and saying that they are the same as a completely different group of black socialists and hoping that you think all black people look the same. And oh, they're black, right? They're black. They talk the socialist thing. They must be the same, right? I mean, it's racism, number one. It's dishonesty, and it's intentionally running interference for you know who. And that is, I mean, it's right there in front of your face. I told you who BreadTube works for, and there you have it, folks. I mean, and I mean, this needs to be pointed out. So I just wanted to go there.